Hi, this is John with Good Burger Reviews, and I'm here to do a brand new 2025 movie review. And the movie is a Tubi original, Great White Waters.
Let's grab these drugs and get out of here.
Take a new team and find out what happened.
What could have caused that? A rogue wave?
How deep underwater are these crates?
About 30, 40 feet.
Gear up. It's time to swim.
This movie is directed by Anthony C. Ferrante. It is starring Angela Cole, Ashton Lee, Johnny Ramey, and Steve Hanks. When millions in cartel cocaine go missing off Florida's coast, the search turns savage as vicious sharks close in on anyone daring to claim the stash. Can I say, wow, this is something else. Another shark movie with sharks featuring criminals and sunken gold, drugs, i.e. whatever, at the bottom of the ocean. And criminals trying to figure out a way to make someone else save their stash. So, as last month we had passed the 50th anniversary of Jaws, multiple shark movies were released to streaming and in theaters, and yet to find out, another shark movie was released to streaming, straight to Tubi, a Tubi original. This one is extremely complicated, but there are some redeeming qualities and some insane plot details that make this one really a strange one. So there's lots of characters to this one. It was hard to keep track of a lot of them, but there are four main people that play a role in this movie that I will talk about. There's two girls, both of them are undercover and unaware of each other being undercover, trying to catch these criminals in their crazy acts of transporting cocaine. Now, there's two main criminals. There is the head criminal, who is mostly on land until the way end, who is called the pastor, and then there's the who seems to be the head criminal running the show on the boats, and his name is Danzo. So a great part of this film is the opening scene. It starts off with a batch of these criminals, and none of them are the main criminals, but they are basically dealing with the cocaine in these giant crates, and they're on the ocean. It's nighttime, and it's about 5 or 6 of them, and the shark attacks the boat, sinks the whole boat, eats everyone on the boat, and that's how the drugs end up getting sunk into the bottom of the ocean. It's a quite fantastic opening scene. So I was reeled in and hooked right out the gate. Now, the sharks mostly were CGI, and they were fast. Like, the fins are flying fast through the water, and the sharks are faster than what normal sharks are. So I don't know if these are like cocaine sharks or if they're just faster because, you know, the people who did the CGI made them faster. I wouldn't say it super takes away from the actual movie, but it does make you realize that these aren't real sharks. I will say the first 40 minutes of this movie gets complicated. There's a lot of criminals running around. It's hard to keep track of everyone. And our main protagonist, Jaina, we're not sure what she is at first. She introduced herself as an accountant when she gets involved. She just seems like a random bystander at first, and she's one of those grieving characters who lost her husband, and the fact that she lost her husband actually comes back and plays a role into the movie, which was refreshing than them just having a lost relative for them to be grieving. So there at least was a reason why this character was grieving. Now, once I started to figure out who everyone was, and basically the way our main girl Gina ends up with all the criminals is she's out fishing, or it seems she's out fishing, but she's really doing a stakeout on these criminals, and her boat is very randomly, but not randomly, close to theirs, and they take notice to her once they first encountered the sharks again, because now this second team of criminals featuring Danzo and the other undercover lady are out there trying to recover this gold, and their criminal careers are all on the line if they don't get the gold recovered to the head priestess guy, or whatever his name was. He was like Priesto, or they called him Reverend Priest or something like that. Overall, I would say the shark kills in this one are fairly decent. Sometimes the sharks were a little too fast to keep up with, and other times the sharks were pretty decent. Now, there's a lot of sharks in this one. And what makes this stand out amongst the sea of shark movies, yet alone from this year, is like the one movie I mentioned, Fear Below, these sharks were aggressive. They stayed aggressive. They never went passive. They never gave up till the end. And our antagonists, I should say our protagonists as well, were quite fighters as well in this one. Gina was a tough cookie. She was not afraid of the criminals or the sharks. She took them on quite fiercely. So I would definitely compare Gina to Zephyr, who was part of the Dangerous Animals movie that I reviewed, that was the one that hit theaters. And I mean, she's facing off these criminals with guns. She is punching the sharks in the eyes, getting the sharks to get away. So she also has this one little advantage as well. She had this device that she would drop into the water, and the sharks would all swim away. It was some sort of electronic magnetic pulse thing that made them swim away. However, unfortunately, as part of the plot of the movie, the battery on this thing is near dead and the thing dies. So the sharks start to converge on them once the thing is completely dead. I'd say at least 4 or 5 other criminals on this boat. Most of them become fodder for the sharks to eat. Some of them do get shot in the criminal warfare as well. So you know how I felt about that. I mean, I think it was only one that gets shot, maybe 2. But most of these criminals or people involved in this movie do get it by the sharks. So I would say the sharks overall, besides being a little bit too CGI and speedy, they were good. And our criminals, they were like just a slight step above basic. I mean, they mostly were basic, but like these criminals definitely stood out to the criminals, definitely beat the crazy criminals that were in Into the Deep. And I mean, I'd say Tucker from Dangerous Animals was definitely better than most of these guys. And then the criminals in Fear Below, I'd say they're pretty much the same as them. Pretty standard. You know, in this one, there were so many of them, it was hard to keep track of most of them. But as the sharks started eating them off, it got down to the final 4 in this group that are battling the sharks in the final act. So I guess the other undercover cop, who was like, one was DEA and another one was like Special Task Force, so they were from different groups and they had different agendas. So our main girl Gina, she basically was like she was off record. She was supposed to be on vacation, but because it comes into play that her husband had died at the hands of the head criminal, Priesto, Reverend guy, and she basically is a little bit off the charts and getting revenge. But it all kind of comes together once she realizes that the other girl, who was giving off policeman vibes at some points of the movie. So I started to think, is that girl undercover as well? And once they unite against the head criminal, and the shark, of course, gets involved too, biting off the head guy's arm. But we're going to get down to business on this one, because overall, this was a basic burger. The shark kills were decent, but sometimes it slacked a little bit. And the characters overall were kind of decent, but then there were some basic moments as well. And I think as far as the characters, it just got so complicated, especially in the first half, just trying to keep track of who's what and what's what. And I would say the gore and the tension was there. I mean, there was nothing new about this one. I mean, this now being the fourth movie of the year involving sharks and criminals and sunken gold or drugs, I mean, it's kind of becoming redundant. And I kind of had this theory. I just thought, why are all these shark movies that have very similar plots out? And I thought, did the people who released Dangerous Animals, which was the one that went to theaters, like say, let me get as many shark scripts as I can get, and they chose Dangerous Animals to be the one that went into the theater, and then all the other ones got streaming deals, like all the other scripts that were written just ended up with streamers? I don't know. I mean, it just seemed kind of odd that so many movies this year have that same plot point. So at the end of the day, if you're a big shark fan, if you like the shark movies, this one will get you through. I mean, it's a good one-time watch. I just did a top 10 shark movie ranking. This definitely wouldn't have broken onto the list. I knew that I was planning on watching this one when I was making that video, but I kind of had a sense with it being a Tubi original that I wouldn't have to worry about it being in the top 10. Though, I am pretty much surprised that it was as good as it was after just watching Hook and that one turning into a spam, which was on Tubi, and the zombie one, which I gave a basic burger to. But this one's decent. So go ahead, give it a watch. And thanks for joining me today. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, tap that notification bell, all that jazz. And don't forget to stay scared of these sharks involved with criminals, drugs, and sunken gold.
The shark, babe, has such teeth, dear, and it shows them pearly white. Just a jackknife has old Maggie Heath, babe, and it keeps it out of sight. You know when that shark bites with its teeth, babe, scarlet billows.